Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to today's tutorial. My name is Brianka Hill, and I am the Business Engagement Specialist here in the Neighborhood and Business Development Department. We're excited to be announcing some new lending programs that SEDCO and ARPA were able to present. Specifically, the purpose of this video is to walk you through the SEDCO ARPA Small Business Lending Program process. Ultimately, the goal of this video is to ensure you have a good understanding of the application process as a whole. Right now, I'd like to turn everything over to Eric Ennis, our new Deputy Commissioner of Neighborhood and Business Development.
All right, thank you so much, Bree. So for anyone watching this video, we really appreciate you tuning in, and I'm going to be walking through some of the steps that you can expect to encounter as you look to fill out a SEDCO Small Business ARPA Lending Program application. ARPA standing for the American Rescue Plan Act, federal funding that the city of Syracuse received and allocated to SEDCO for small business and economic development purposes. So the very first thing that we're going to be advising applicants to do is log into the SEDCO webpage here, which you can find located at the City of Syracuse's website, www.syrgov.net/SEDCO. And so you can find the SEDCO main webpage here, which we will have set up in a way that you'll be able to immediately click into a intake form, which we're calling a questionnaire, which we're really looking for applicants to give us initial information about your business. We expect the intake form to take no more than between 5 and 10 minutes to complete, and we're really looking for any interested applicants to fill out this form first so that we can get a better understanding of your business and just get to know you a little bit better as an applicant to determine how best we can serve you and how best the SEDCO program may be a good fit for you. As you'll see here, you'll be able to log into this. The link will immediately bring you to a tool known as Airtable. You're going to see the SEDCO logo here, and it's going to immediately ask you a handful of questions that you're going to find for your first and last name as you, the applicant. It's going to ask for your email address so that we know the best way to contact you, as well as your phone number. And then we're going to ask you for your company address, as well as if you can include your address, a zip code, and then the name of your business or the entity that would be applying to SEDCO as part of this program. We're also looking to know the year that your business or organization was established, and then the nature of the business. Can you give us a very short summary of just the purpose, potentially the industry, or what it is that you create or what service you provide? Every business should also have an employer identification number, and so we're asking you to also please provide that. Anything with the red asterisk next to it is information that is required. So we are asking you to locate your EIN number, which you can find on tax returns. You can also find it is designated as part of your business that you'd be able to include as part of this intake form. And then we are also looking for you to identify the number of employees. We are asking if you've received any assistance over the last 20 months or so since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, if you received any assistance from SEDCO or CITA previously. And then we are also asking if you received or if you had seen a financial loss in sales during 2020 or 2021, either of those fiscal years. And then lastly, these last couple of questions here, we're just asking you to describe a little bit of what it is you're seeking financial assistance for. And just that only has to be a few words or a couple sentences, but just give us a little bit more background on the purpose. And then finally, if you could give us a ballpark estimate or just a sense on the number that you may be applying for or seeking to apply for as part of the SEDCO's process. Once you fill in today's date and the time that you're applying, you'll be able to hit submit. And as you complete that, that will immediately take you to a note that's going to thank you for submitting the intake form, and that a City of Syracuse team member will be following up with you shortly to talk through the process. I will also just make note, we do have the form available in Spanish for any Spanish speakers or habla español, and we really wanted to make this available for anyone who may have Spanish as a primary language as opposed to English. Once this form is submitted, the intention is that a City of Syracuse team member, myself, Bree, or another one of our team members, would be following up with you in a very short time frame to actually talk through the information about your business, what you provided into the intake form, and really identify the best ways that we can assist you. As part of the SEDCO program with the ARPA lending programs, we've actually created numerous funds that are really designed to support different types of businesses. And so we really want to make sure that your business as an applicant, we're serving you in the best way possible and that you're completing the right kind of application. In addition to the intake form and the questionnaire that's posted on the SEDCO website, we also have a link to a frequently asked questions form as well as an informational sheet. Really, this is designed in addition to this video, but just to help answer common questions that have come up as part of the SEDCO program. We hope that by reading this, you'll have a really good understanding of what types of expenses are eligible, or what are the types of things, the types of funds that you may be able to apply for. So we're going to touch on some of that today with this video, and then we certainly encourage you, if there's anything additional or any questions that maybe weren't covered, we would encourage you to contact the Office of Neighborhood and Business Development. We have our email address as well as the phone number that we'll make sure we cover at the end. So as part of this frequently asked questions document, you're going to see it actually provides a general overview of what types of funds are being created with the American Rescue Plan Act dollars. And this table really summarizes it nicely. The purpose of the program is really designed to support businesses, whether dealing with financial impact or economic hardship faced from the pandemic that took place or is still taking place, in addition to any businesses that are looking to pivot and potentially look to new opportunities and grow. And so you're going to see 3 different categories and 3 different types of funds that we are looking for businesses to apply to. The first one is known as the Micro Enterprise Fund. This would be for businesses with 10 or less employees, what we define as a micro enterprise, which allows for a maximum loan size up to $5,000. It comes with a 1% interest rate with a term of 2 years. The other thing to note is that this is one of the programs that actually has a forgivable loan aspect to it, meaning that the loan can be forgiven as long as the funds are used for what they're intended and the eligibility criteria is met for loan forgiveness. And we will touch on that a little bit later in the video. The second program that we have that's being made available is the SEDCO Business Assistance Fund. Now, this is available for larger businesses than micro enterprises, which is up to 50 employees or less. So something to note is that as a micro enterprise with 10 or less employees, you also could apply for this fund as well. And it allows for up to $25,000 in loan financing at an interest rate of 1.5% for a term of 5 years. The one thing to note is that standard loans for any business with 50 employees or less, this is not forgivable. However, for any micro enterprises, again, 10 or less employees, you will have the ability to have your first $5,000 forgiven as long as you meet all the eligible criteria. So that first $5,000 could be forgiven. That's the maximum amount that can be a forgivable loan through this program. But any micro enterprise with 10 employees or less could be eligible for forgiveness as part of this program as well. The third and final of the funds that is being created is the Community Impact Fund. Now, this program, again, all of the SEDCO programs are focused on 50 employees or less, but this is really designed for any real estate or physical improvements that are being planned. And so we are encouraging this particularly with a real estate, potentially with machinery and equipment in mind. This allows for up to $200,000 in funding that could be made available, and an interest rate of 2% and up to 15 years with an eligible term. And one thing to note is that there is no forgivable loan aspect with the Community Impact Fund. So any forgivable loan really has to do with the Micro Enterprise Fund, or under certain circumstances, the Small Business Assistance Fund. So one of the things that I mentioned was the point of a City of Syracuse or a SEDCO team member following up with you after you've completed the questionnaire form. Really, the purpose of that is we want to make sure that best understanding what it is you're applying to use SEDCO funds for, we will then talk with you through each of these funds. We'll really identify the best fit based on your needs and your project, and then we will follow up and share by email. You would receive an actual hard copy of the application, which we sent either by email, or we certainly can provide a physical copy in other methods as well. And then that application is what you ultimately will need to fill out, complete, and submit to be considered for funding. And I'm going to just pull up on my screen just what this application looks like. We do have 3 different application types. So you're going to see on your screen here, which is the ARPA Micro Enterprise Funds. It has kind of this light blue highlight, so you can be able to, certainly our staff will be able to color coordinate and know the difference between the forms. The second one here, that's the ARPA Small Business Assistance Fund that goes up to $25,000. And then third, you're going to have the ARPA Community Impact Fund and that loan application, which can be eligible for up to $200,000 in expenses. And so we will, our staff and our team will share with you the application that was discussed over the phone, and then you would look to fill this out and complete this. So you'll see this is a fillable PDF format. This is also something you'd be welcome to fill out and write in the answers if you'd like to print it physically. But we're going to be asking you very standard questions about your business. Some of this is initial information that may have been mentioned in the questionnaire, but then we really get into more detail, including the type of business that you have. Is it a partnership or a sole proprietorship or a corporation? The type of industry that best represents your business. We're asking you to check no more than 2. We're also asking, is there different type of funding or assistance that you may have received throughout the past 20 months over the course of the pandemic? We're asking you to just identify those resources. By no means does it preclude you if you've received any federal, state, or local assistance, but we just want to get an understanding of the type of assistance that people may have received in you and your business, if any, that you did receive support for. As you continue through the application, we're going to be asking you about the numbers of employees that you have, an estimate before March 7th of 2020, and then after that date, and at the time of this application, how many employees do you currently have within your business? We're asking other questions for you to give, if you were a business that was in business or started after the pandemic took place on March 7th of 2020, you are still eligible for this program. We're going to talk through some of the eligibility criteria in a moment, but this loan fund is available for businesses that were started after the pandemic took place. And so that is something we just want to have a better understanding of your experience, your background in the industry, if you were a business that was only recently started within the last 2 years. Every application includes a budget where we're going to be asking you to identify the approximate amount of each of the items that you're looking for SEDCO financing and assistance for. Now, in underline, this is a micro enterprise application. So you're going to see this is saying it cannot exceed 5,000. On the other applications, you're going to see that number be 25,000 or 200,000 that you cannot exceed. But we're asking you to fill out in this table each of those items with the expense amount, the item itself. If there is a third party, either it's a manufacturer, a supplier, or a service, if you can identify that company name, and then really the purpose of why you are applying to use this and the purpose of how it will benefit you or your business. Now in this last field at the bottom where you see the arrow that points to total funding amount requested, we're asking you to just total up that number. And just a reminder, we are asking that you do not exceed the amount that each program fund is eligible for. So in this case with the micro enterprise application, that would be 5,000. So you would look to fill out this table, make sure that that does not exceed the table amount itself, and you would go from there. Just to kind of walk you through an example here, you might say 2,500 for the expense item of marketing assistance, and then you may say it's ABC Marketing as the vendor, and the purpose would be to promote my business. And then in total here, you might have additional expenses, which would be supplies for 500. I say your supplies is the item itself. You might say you have X, Y, Z. Supplier is the name of the company or the vendor, and the purpose is to add to your stock or supply for your business. Now, what you're going to do is if in total, those are the 2 items that you're applying for SEDCO funds for, your total is going to be $3,000 that you're looking for total assistance for from SEDCO. So that's the approach that we're asking everyone to take as they're thinking through and identifying the items and the information that they're submitting with their SEDCO application. Now, there's a number of questions we are asking for additional context for. So this would be purposely designed so that you can fill out the form to the best of your ability and share some additional context behind your request. The particular question here, which is included on every application, is due to high demand. It is possible not all applicants may receive the entire funding request made to SEDCO. Please explain how you'll prioritize these items above. Now, what I will say is that as SEDCO is working on the funding that's being made available, we may anticipate having more demand than funding available for this program. And so at this point, we're asking this question and just making sure applicants are aware and being able to identify what are the most important items. And certainly if we have the ability to fund a full request for the full ask, we certainly will be happy to do so, but if we do need to do partial funding requests just based on limited availability, then this question can be extremely helpful for us in the consideration process. We're also asking you to please describe in detail the ways that COVID-19 and the pandemic has impacted you and your business. And if there is anything additionally, any changes, any pivoting that you're making to your business within the next 60 to 90 days, this could be to address the current economic conditions, whether that's related to supply chain issues or anything else that may have been exacerbated due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The next question here, certainly the SEDCO is working with companies really to best provide resources that will address the economic hardship that's taken place. We're asking you to explain, how would this funding immediately benefit you, your workforce or employees, and more broadly, the city of Syracuse as a community. So we ask that applicants are really be thoughtful with this question. If you can best explain how the dollars provided through this program, the loan financing, the forgivable loans, ways that you would be able to take advantage of this funding, and it could benefit you, your business, and the city of Syracuse as a whole. These final questions here, we're going to ask you to please check mark yes or no, one per each of these, just to disclose anything related to your business that we should be aware of as part of the application process. And then moving on to the application attachment. So in addition to the completed form, there is additional information that we will need to receive so that we can best review and consider your request. For businesses specifically, we're going to look to have you include business tax returns for the year 2020, as well as any personal tax returns for those with 20% or more ownership as part of the business. We'll also be looking for an interim profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. This would really be through June 30 of 2021 or sooner, but we certainly would like to see at least through June 30 of this current calendar year. Personal financial statement. Now, this will be available by clicking the link here, which will bring you right to that personal financial statement that you can actually click on through the application here. It's going to bring you to a form that you can certainly print out or fill out and save and submit as part of the application process. But a personal financial statement is going to give us information about your personal information as the applicant or the business owner. Anyone with 20% or more ownership stake in the business is what we'd be looking for. So if potentially the business is split three ways between 33% ownership each, then we would ask for 3 personal financial statements, one from each of those individual business owners. This is a 2-page document. If you do need any assistance filling this out or completing this, the SEDCO team, our staff will be able to assist you with this. But again, this is another required item that we will be asking those to fill out and complete. So coming back to the application form, and then lastly, the additional information that we may seek would be any vendor estimates, quotes, documents, any additional information that could help give us context behind your request and really help hopefully explain some of the numbers that are tied in with your SEDCO loan application. Under most circumstances, the first 2 applications, the microenterprise and the small business assistance fund, are for-profit business entities. However, the Community Impact Fund also allows for nonprofit applications and applicants to apply. So I'm just jumping down to the additional section for additional materials. So this, in the Community Impact Fund, for example, it does break down not just business application documents, but additionally, if you're a non-for-profit corporation, a 501c3, we would be asking for CPA audited financials, Form 990 from this current, this past calendar year in 2020 that should have been filed, and then interim profit and loss statements and balance sheets through similarly June 30 of this current year. And then for all projects related to real estate, this is for the Community Impact Fund, we're looking for a 2-year minimum of projects. This would be projected financials, budget breakdown of your project costs, any site plans, design plans that may have been created, and then if there's other financiers involved or any other funding besides what SEDCO would be putting in, we would ask for a bank financing or commitment letter. So that, again, and under certain circumstances, this is more related to real estate projects, but nonprofit individuals and nonprofit organizations will have the ability to apply under this ARPA Community Impact Fund. So moving back to the FAQ questionnaire and informational sheet, which we really encourage any applicant that is seeking to apply would have the ability to read this fund first. This could be after you've completed the Airtable form, the questionnaire form, and you're waiting to hear back from a City of Syracuse staff member. But this will go into much more detail on some of these additional questions. You're going to see who is eligible. Now, we've talked a little bit about the fact you have to be a business or nonprofit with less than 50 employees, and you have to have been negatively impacted from the COVID-19 pandemic by receiving a decrease in loss of sales or revenue from 2020 or 2021. We are considering real estate development entities that may be eligible through the Community Impact Fund, as well as I mentioned 501c3 organizations, similarly through the Community Impact Fund itself. I mentioned a little while ago, that if your business started after the pandemic began, and so the date that we've assigned to that is March 7th of 2020, that you would be eligible to apply for this program funding. Now, the one thing I will add to that is that you do have to be located in what's known as an ARPA qualified census tract. So the American Rescue Plan Act, which designated geographies within the city of Syracuse that you can be eligible for. Under this question number 2, where we are talking about eligibility criteria, you can actually click the link here, which will bring you to an electronic version of the map that you can actually look at to identify the census tracts where these eligible new business applications can be accepted from. So one of the things, and our staff member will be able to walk you through and assist you with locating if you are in one of these eligible census tracts, but this is a map of the city of Syracuse, and you'll see any of these census tracts shaded in blue are areas that are eligible as part of a new business applicant through the American Rescue Plan lending programs. And so this will be something you are able, through the mapping tool online, to zoom in or out, and you can find the nearest location where your business or physical address is located to determine if you are indeed in an eligible location. But as noted, if you are trying to find the exact location, one of our staff members will be able to assist you. The other thing that's very important to note is that this program is only eligible for businesses inside of the city of Syracuse, and as well as nonprofit organizations inside the city of Syracuse. So unfortunately, if you are located in a surrounding town or village, maybe in Onondaga County or from larger central New York, this program is specifically focused and eligible for city of Syracuse businesses. Continuing on, just some other questions that we want to cover from a high level. New businesses, we did talk a little bit about those, and there is, again, another link to the map so that you'd be able to focus in to determine if you fall in an eligible census tract, if you are a new business that has been started. One other thing that we'll note is that if you are a new business, so again, you started after March 7th of 2020, we are asking for 6 months of operating financials to show that the entity itself or your business has been in operation for a 6-month period or 180 days. This would really be shown through the balance sheet or an interim profit and loss statement. So that'll be information that we will be asking for, just so that we can verify that your business has been in operation, so that we can consider that accordingly. And if you do have any additional questions around that, again, our staff and our team will be able to assist you. So what are some of the uses that would qualify to receive ARPA SEDCO loan funding? This would be qualified eligible expenses include but are not limited to capital upgrades, including structural improvements, interior and exterior renovations, HVAC upgrades, any physical improvements to a property that you would be looking to make. Equipment, materials, supplies, anything that you may need related to health, sanitation, and cleanliness, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. All of these would be eligible, in any ways that you may need to adapt your business. This could be installation of additional equipment, or furniture, tents, awnings, anything that you may be looking to do to have additional outdoor seating, or finding ways to increase your seating capacity so that you can still serve your customers but do so safely, as well as serve your employees. These are all eligible expenses with the program. Technology systems and applications or vendor services, really just allowing you to increase, if it's e-commerce or your online presence, marketing being another service that is permitted under this program. These would all be eligible uses, and can be paid for with the SEDCO financing being made available. Supplies or inventory that's necessary to help assist you with your business operations, also considered eligible. And then operating expenses. So one thing through this program is that rent is considered an eligible use of funds. However, the program is limited to up to 20% of the total amount you're requesting from SEDCO. So rental, either back rent or current rent that you may owe to your landlord, that is up to 20% of the total ask that you're making to SEDCO that would be eligible. Please also note, if there is any back rent that you're looking to make, this cannot date back to before January 1st of 2021. So any rent that may be owed or due is still permitted if it's from 2021, but we're unable to go back to the previous year. Pre-development expenses also considered eligible for this program, up to 20% if this is a property that you own or if it's a property that you are currently in negotiations on or under contract. But this would include architectural plans, engineering reports, environmental assessments, and this would be funded through the Community Impact Fund of those particular fund programs that we've talked about. Now, if you have a property that is owned by the Greater Syracuse Property Development Corporation, or known as the Greater Syracuse Land Bank, the Community Impact Fund will have the ability to fund up to 80% of your total pre-development expenses. A minimum of 20% would have to come in from the applicant from other sources. So we talked a little bit about the forgivability earlier in this video, in this tutorial, but just to cover some additional information on that, up to $5,000 can be forgiven for micro enterprise businesses, which is determined to be 10 employees or less. And the forgiveness could come through both the Micro Enterprise Assistance Fund as well as the Small Business Assistance Fund, which technically permits for financing up to $25,000. But again, the maximum amount that can be forgiven to any single applicant would be $5,000. In order to meet the eligibility criteria for forgiveness, all purchases and investment using SEDCO funds must be verified, and we must have third-party receipts, vendor invoices, basically documentation showing and explaining that the purchases were indeed made. The business must remain in operation during the term of the agreement, which would be for 2 years. Borrowers that own property in the city of Syracuse, we would expect that all taxes owed to the city must be current and no outstanding code violations may exist. The borrower will retain the number of employees at the time of the application, or add employees during the term of the agreement. Basically, we're looking to make sure that you are at least sustaining the number of employees that you have at this current point in time. And then any borrower that was established in March of 2020 or afterwards, we will put in a contingency asking you to work directly with a business assistance organization. There's a number of those in the Central New York community. They include SCORE, the Onondaga Small Business Development Center, Upstart, as well as the Financial Empowerment Center. So it could be that you already are receiving small business assistance from one of these organizations, but if not, we would also work with you to connect you with an organization so that you could also avail yourself to their services. And then finally, the borrower must retain ownership of the entity or any affiliated property as part of the terms of the agreement. So this would be after the approval. Certainly the city would work with you on a structure for forgiveness or through SEDCO, and then we would have the terms and conditions of that forgiveness laid out as part of this process. So the SEDCO process, in terms of our board of directors, all funding requests will be accepted by the SEDCO staff. We will then present that to our SEDCO review committee, and ultimately a recommendation will be made to the board of directors. We anticipate that all applications will be accepted through the month of December, and then December 31st at 12 p.m. That is the due date for all applications to be submitted for this first round one of the SEDCO program. And then beginning in January, we would have the SEDCO board of directors making formal approvals and financing commitments to support your business in these projects once they have been reviewed carefully. Additionally, just some final questions here, but the question number 8 lays out that two-step process that we touched upon earlier, just making sure that all businesses have completed and filled out the questionnaire prior to then submitting the formal application that they've been able to identify with SEDCO staff that they'll be applying for. And then after the reviews have been taken place, SEDCO staff will follow up to inform you of the ultimate decision, the award amount, as well as the official terms, contingencies of the offer, and making sure that we're working with you on closing and executing all grant and loan agreements for any of the forgivable funding aspects, as well as the loan financing that would be provided through SEDCO. So page 4 of the FAQ informational sheet includes a step-by-step in making sure that you're walking through these application instructions. And so review this information carefully. We certainly want to make sure that anyone looking at this information has a really good understanding of what it is that they're applying for. Are the expenses eligible? Are they, as a business, eligible? Making sure that if they're a new business, they're in an eligible census tract. And if you're a City of Syracuse business with under 50 employees, we hope that you'll be able to take advantage of this program and our services. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Bree. We thank you very much for your time here. There is information on the screen in terms of our contact information as part of this process, and we certainly look forward to working with you and the SEDCO lending program application process.
Thank you so much, Eric. So yeah, just to bounce off what Eric was saying, thank you guys for taking the time to tune in today's tutorial. We hope that we were able to provide you with a detailed overview of the lending programs, as well as the intake and application process. Please take a moment to review the FAQ document when you get a chance, as it does address and detail common and reoccurring questions that we expect our office to receive. For any other questions or assistance, please feel free to reach out to us via email at business@syrgov.net or via phone at 315-448-8100. Again, these details are displayed right here on the screen if you do need to review them further. But outside of that, thank you, everyone.